Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters in Christ, I am your host, Dr. Dimitri, aka Way Truther. Today I have another video for you. The last couple videos I did were not your conventional workout videos. One was an instructional boxing video where I showed you some basic boxing moves. And then I did a self-defense video where I showed you how to diffuse a street situation, okay, where you wouldn't want to fight, but you're forced to fight, or you're forced to defend yourself. Somebody enters your personal space, you try to diffuse it, but if you have to, you got options. Slap their ears, headbutt. There's so many options. So I did that video right there. I don't know if you guys want more of those kind of videos where I show you, some martial arts stuff, or like more self-defense videos, which I can do. Let me know in the comments if you prefer those. I can start doing more of those, incorporate those with the workout videos, because I have a lot of material as the Almighty provides me with everything I need. But today's video is going to be a little different because I want to talk about the reason why I got into martial arts in the first place. And the reason that I got into martial arts was bullying. Yes. When I first came to America, my parents brought me from Ukraine. It was 1978, and I was 12 years old. My parents had friends here already that came here probably, I think, maybe 3 years before us, or maybe more, maybe 5 years before us. And so they had a son who was my age, same age as me. His name was Stan. And when I came here, we lived in the same building in Hollywood. And our parents were friends. He also had a sister. She was little at the time, but he and I apparently, when we were really little in Ukraine, we played together. I didn't remember. I don't really remember him or my time in Ukraine that well. But when I got here, first of all, he already spoke English and I did not. I only spoke Russian, and kind of looked up to him because he was my age. He was the same age. We're 2 days apart, but he was a big kid, tall. Like even now, he's probably, I don't know, like 6'2", over 200 pounds. And it was always scaled to where I was always smaller. I was a very small, skinny little kid when I first came. My arms were puny, like toothpicks. And he was into sports. He liked baseball, all kinds of different sports. I didn't know much. And so I thought we were friends. But apparently to him, I was just an object to be, to bully. Because he was a coward. Okay, because only cowards bully others, especially people who are smaller than they are. And so it really kind of started slow. It's never really, whenever our parents would leave us at night or they would go somewhere, probably every once in a while he would beat me up. You know, I was okay with it because I didn't know any better, and I wanted to be his friend, and I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want to look weak, and I was scared, and he knew that, and he exploited it. And then in sixth grade, I remember we went to the same school. Before that, we didn't go to the same school, so I only hung out with him once in a while, like when the parents were around. So he didn't really have an opportunity to bully me that much. But when we started going to the same school, it was a walking distance from our uh, apartment building. It was called Hollywood Professionals, so school in Hollywood for it was like a school for actors, actually, for professionals. The school was from 8 a.m. I believe it let out at like noon or 1. Okay, and it went all the way through. There was no break, so it wasn't like a typical school. I guess it was um it was like 6th through 12th. I believe that school started in 6th grade. Yes, and so I started in 6th. He was 1 year ahead of me because I guess while I was traveling, I didn't have a chance to catch up. And so when we got to America, I wound up going to a 1 grade lower than I should have. So while he was in 7th, I was in 6th. I don't know if that makes sense. So every day after school, I would walk home. Well, I would run home because I knew that he and his other friend, this guy Eric, who was even bigger than him, they, for some reason, thought it would be funny or fun to beat the shit out of a little kid, somebody smaller than them. And that's what they would do. They would chase me every single day after school, and they knew that I would be running home, and then this was how they got their kicks. They'd chase me, they'd catch me, and then they'd beat the shit out of me. And this was a source of fun for them. And I remember one time they caught me, and they took me to in the back of some abandoned house, and there was a metal rod, like a long metal rod, and I think it was like in the middle of summer, and they made me hold this rod like behind my back like this. Okay, it was a scorching hot rod that was laying in the sun all day, metal. I couldn't hold it because it was burning me. But they said if I put it down, they were gonna beat me up, and they would. They like if I every time I threw it down, they would like beat on me, and so they had me hold it, and then they said, "You stay here with that rod, and we're gonna leave. But if we catch you, if we see that you're not you," they said, "you need to stay here for 1 hour with that rod. And if you put it down early and we catch you, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." So this is my memory, and it kind of scarred me, but it also made me into the man I am today. Because there was another guy named Albert. He was an Armenian guy. And he came to my parents and he said, "Hey, you need to send your child to karate," because he probably knew I was getting bullied by Stan and his friend too. And so my mom came to me and I guess this guy Albert, he suggested this school. It was my first martial arts school. It was Korean Kempo Karate. Um, I really I really liked that school. It taught me a lot. It was my first martial art class. Um, and I remember the instructor there. He was this, I think he wasn't Korean. He was this Mexican guy, like a typical 70s karate instructor. He had the afro and he looked like a character right out of a Bruce Lee movie. But he was pretty good. And he had carried this stick, this long stick. He would place it on the ground, and he'd make us run laps. Like in the beginning of class, we have to run for about like half an hour to get warmed up. And he had this stick on the floor, and he would just like move like this in a circle. And see if anybody slows down, he would just kick that stick right at you. And it would hit you every time. Every time it would hit your ankle, you know? So that was fun. But I started to get comfortable fighting, learning how to defend myself. And from that point on, I said to myself that I would never, never let anybody bully me again. And, I don't really, I know what happened to him. I'm not friends with him anymore. I don't think we were ever friends. But yeah, he's doing well. But my Father in heaven assures me that it's not going to be doing very well in the afterlife. Vengeance is mine, and I shall repay. Yep. Deuteronomy 32:35. Just wait. Hell is hot. Mighty hot. So, got a few minutes. I guess I'll tell a little story about my karate class. There was one time, I guess it was like right after Rocky 3 came out. And I watched Rocky 3. I loved that movie. And I was like, oh man, I wanted to be Rocky, Hey, yo, Adrian, how you doing? So me, I think I'm 13 or 14, I think 13 probably. So after having watched this movie, I come into my karate class, and every Friday we had like a freestyle sparring session. We put on these gloves and kick like shin pads, and we just like lightly, spar with one another, not full force, not full contact. But because I watched Rocky 3, I thought I was Rocky. So when it came my turn, and I had to spar with this one guy, and so I guess I didn't really want to hurt the guy, but I got a little too comfortable, and I threw like a couple punches, like real hard punches, not like just like sparring punches. And so the instructor got mad at me, and he said, hey, you want full contact? You go with me. I apologized. I'm sorry. And so he said, okay. He put me with a girl. And I remember I was like a yellow belt still. And she was brown. So she was way more skilled than me. But here I'm thinking, I just watched Rocky 3. And so we're sparring, her and I, and like I didn't really want to hit her. And I wasn't like really throwing a lot. I think I dropped my hands even at some point. Like I kind of took her for granted. And then the next thing I know, I'm waking up on the ground. I got knocked the fuck out. with a roundhouse kick to the face. Yep, he got knocked out by a girl. That was something that I will not forget. But anyway, I am Dr. Dimitri, and this was my story about my life, my bullying situation. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, share, maybe buy me a cup of coffee if you're so inclined. Either way, please leave me some feedback. Let me know what you like about my videos, what you don't like. If you notice there's no more green screen behind me, yeah, I figured out that I don't need that thing anymore. The reason I had the green screen here is because there's a mirror on this side and I didn't have a cord for my light. So I just got an extension cord and that solved all my problems. So I don't need that green screen anymore. So, ah. And on that note, I will leave you till next time.